Hey guys, I want to show off some geometry mods on a RedCat RS10 I made that I think really improved the articulation and the overall suspension characteristics of the beast. I've got a solid 8 inches front and rear of articulation now, and I've got no chassis bind. Okay, which is really nice, and I'm getting the full action of the shocks, and I'm just getting the littlest tiniest bit of tire rub. I'm locked out at the horn. I've mounted a CC BEC so I don't burn out any more servos with the LiPo. I've tidied up my electronics package as much as I can without trimming wires. Everything's Velcro mounted to the plate, and you just take the 4 screws off and the whole package lifts out. I've created new links all the way around. I'm really getting into the link bending thing. Spent a long time working it out. My front links are longer than my back links by a fair amount, and they're mounted further back on the chassis, and this gives me a balance point which is a lot more forward now than it was before. So you see where my finger is? Okay, see my balance point now when it's fully loaded up, and that's not even with the servo in place. Still waiting on the servo. Should be here soon, I hope. These are all aluminum I got from McMaster. It's the hardest Bernal hardness aluminum tubing they make. It's not tubing, it's rod. It's 3/16, so it's all threaded rod. It's all on the Traxxas 5525 ends. 1 millimeter of thread. That's why I like these, the big Revo ends. I started off with the J-toes because I thought more thread engagement is better, but it really isn't. It kind of sucks. I think the 5525s are the way to go. I'm eventually going to go to 1/8 inch uppers with the 1942s, I think is what they are. 1942 Traxxas ends. But for now, I'm just using these are the last of the J-to ends I had, and they kind of suck. When you start threading into them, they distort, which is okay because actually the distortion kind of works out here, but I don't like it. These are the Revo ends back here. I like them a lot better. The reason I went with the aluminum up top, obvious, for the weight, get rid of the steel, get rid of as much steel as possible. These are the next things that are going to go. Going to get rid of these. I'm going to attempt to drill and tap some of this thin rod. It's going to be interesting. And got no conflicts with the wiring and the shocks. Everything works good. Everything's nice and tight, and got full articulation as you saw. No binding, so everything's really good. If you look at the stance of the vehicle now, okay, it's sitting pretty low. Before, I used to kind of just put my hand in there to kind of gauge where I want it, and that's about as low as I can get it with my setup. It really squishes down, and it's full up, and it's droop. So, also took my tires apart and reworked them. When I was epoxying the rims, I didn't clamp them. I just laid them on the little pieces on top of each other and aligned them with nails and let the glue dry, and that was a big mistake because I got thin and fat areas of the glue. So I broke them apart, I peeled all the epoxy off, and I found out that super glue with this particular kind of plastic, at least the Loctite professional grade super glue, really grabs great. You got to rough it up. I roughed it up with 120 grit and stuck to a piece of aluminum bar so I could keep everything super flat. And I roughed up the little pieces that I cut, and I roughed up the rim, glued them back together, this time with clamping pressure, so everything was plastic to plastic just about. and I got rid of a lot of the tire woggle that I was worried about. I wasn't very happy with the tire woggle. And I was like, why are these tires woggling? One of them was good, one of them was okay, and two of them were really bad. And when I popped them open, I saw that I had, like, you know, a 30-second of glue in some places, and almost no glue in other places, and it just, so I should have clamped it, but I didn't, so I reworked it. Much happier with it, seems a lot stronger. I'm really surprised that G-Flex didn't grab as good as it did, so I don't know about G-Flex on this particular plastic. G-Flex works on a lot of materials, works against steel, works on G10, works on all kinds of cast materials, but it does not seem to really like this plastic. It didn't stick very well at all. I could peel it off. It was a bad thing. So, only thing I'm waiting on now is a servo. I can get out there and check it out and see how it performs. But I just wanted to show you the links. Got a little kink here, a little kink there. If I had more rod left, I would probably eliminate this kink. I'd probably make it straight and a little kink there. I think that would work even better. And if I had more rod, I think I would try and put this curve further back. But it's going to live with it for now. Did the shock on axle mod. Used little aluminum plates attached to the link points in the axles. Now the shock's all the way back out here. These are Wraith shocks. HB Rover white dots. Rims have been cut down to 1-inch width. So yeah, a lot of stuff. Waterproofed electronics, except for the BEC. Plastic dip lipo. So yeah, a lot of little tweaks, a lot of little mods. Rear axle lockout. Have done nothing to increase steering on the front because basically when I'm all the way over, I start to get a little bit of shock rub there. So until I can work something out with like a cantilevered shock mount or something, I'm just going to leave it. Just want to show that to you guys, for you RedCat enthusiasts that are interested in mods. This is pretty much a rolling montage of everything I've learned on rccrawler.com and everything that I've experimented with that I thought worked. So you may want to try some of these things out. It's got the cut down chassis, lowers the center of gravity. I think probably the most radical change I made on this whole deal was changing the link geometry, changing the chassis geometry. With the long links in the front and the short links in the back, I suddenly got another inch of articulation, which I really wasn't expecting. These are approximately like within a millimeter of being stock distances. These are just a touch longer. These are like about a millimeter longer. These are right on, I think. So interesting. I wasn't expecting such a radical change just by moving the chassis point back 1/4 of an inch, adding a couple millimeters up here. Got a huge change in the articulation. Real happy with how everything works on it. Balance point and whatnot seems pretty radical. And I've got some lead stick-on weights inside the rim on the front tires. I'm going to try that out for a while, see how that works. Hopefully it won't wear out everything inside the axle too fast. Axles are packed with Lucas Red and Tacky. Try and waterproof them. Did not pack the diff case at all, just the axle shafts. Alright guys, a little bit of RC for you Friday. Get out there and crawl.